there, Eagles fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. My name is Basil, and I'm unfortunately recording again alone tonight because my dad is in Chicago. Not a happy episode to be recording. We always talk about we know this is going to happen. We know we're not going to win every single game. We know we weren't going to just lose one game this year, so we got to be prepared for this type of thing. But it's not really about losing the game. It's more so about how we lost that game that really makes it the hardest. But I'll try my best to dog through this without getting too angry. It's rough because it's one of those losses where there's just nothing to really take away. I feel like we didn't learn anything in this loss. There's always something you can learn in a win, in a loss, and it just feels like there's really nothing to learn from this loss. I guess the biggest thing would be I don't know why we can't run the football more. I don't know why we resort to just throwing the ball all the time. You know, second half, of course, we have to because we're losing by so much. But man, the first half, it just doesn't make sense. But I guess I'll touch on each basis more so as I get through this. But I'm just very frustrated and not happy. I'm in a different place recording, of course, as you can probably tell. And I'm not on my game right now, of course, because I'm just furious. But recording at home, I didn't want to go to my dad's house since he's out of town. I just didn't want to drive all the way down there. But we'll go ahead and just jump into it. I don't really want to talk about the club. You know, where we go to Frankie's every week. If you watched before, if this is your first time, you can watch another one when I'm happier. Pardon me. So I'm recording with my wife's podcast stuff right now, and I'm just not happy right now. Blame number one, Brian Johnson. I'm not saying we need to fire this guy. I don't think it's not logical. Obviously, before this game, we had 12 consecutive, I believe, red zone touchdowns. So we had 12 straight. So, you know, this guy knows how to score usually. He knows how to run a good offense, especially in important times, but he just really abandons the run, and it just doesn't make sense. Blame number two, I don't know what it is about Jalen in the first half. He just gets really jittery. He just is not settled in. He doesn't see the field right. He's just not calm. He's not as collected as we talk. You know, we always talk about his emotions. He's always calm. He's always together. He's never frantic. But in the first half, it's like even when it's 0-0 or 6-0, I just don't understand. Going back to blame number one, Brian Johnson. I mean, I said it on the podcast last week. To win this game, we were going to have to score 17 points in the first half. We were going to have to score 3 out of our first 4 drives. And first 2 drives, we're dominating him on defense. We're dominating him on offense. And we leave with field goals. And it's, you know, I'm sitting there in the bar and we're clapping for the field goal. And it's just like, this is not, I'm not happy. I feel like we're losing. You know, it felt like we were losing when we were up 6-0, which is just incredible feeling. Blame number 3, got to be the linebacker core. You know, you expect everyone to get theirs. McCaffrey's always going to get his. Kittle's going to get his. Debo's going to get his. Ayuk, I'm surprised didn't get as much, but you know he's usually going to get his. But the linebacker core, they couldn't tackle, they couldn't cover. Morrow, it was clear that we were missing Cunningham pretty bad. It's clear that we need to sign Shaq Leonard, or else we're in for a long, painful ride on this defense. Because that linebacker core just. They can't cover the star running backs and star tight ends. You know, I know we did a great job against Kelsey a few weeks ago, but that was, you know, obviously game plan towards him. But it just feels like they can't cover, they couldn't tackle, they couldn't do really anything. So hopefully get Cunningham back. Hopefully we get Leonard, which I wasn't even a big fan of getting him before this, but man, it feels like we really need to get him. Would be great to get Goddard back too. I know we talked about a lot of injuries that we've been dealing with, and it's been really rough, but we really need to get Goddard back because the tight end position. Stoll had one good catch, I think, and it's not enough. You know, we have these 2 all-star, pardon me, all pro wide receivers. My throat's not as bad as usual because I didn't yell as much today, but it's still not good. I stopped yelling because we were just down by so much. I couldn't even cheer or be happy or even get angry when they scored again because it was like, yeah, of course they're going to score. Goddard would be nice to get back. I liked what I saw out of Watkins. I liked what I saw out of Gainwell in the passing game. I don't want to do stats. I'm not going to sit here and do stats one by one because it's just, what's the point in a loss like that? We sacked him early on. Another blame, the defensive line. Sacked him on the second play of the game. And I think we ended up with 2 sacks, I believe. Yeah. It's funny. We talk about how this defensive line is just, oh man, they're amazing. Sweat, Reddick, Cox, Davis, Carter, Williams, even the backups, Nolan Smith, Brandon Graham is on this. We talk about all these guys, and sometimes it's like they have an effect early on or an effect late in the game, but throughout the whole game, they're just not there. And it's just confusing. And we see them they just run into the blocker a lot of times. There's no stunts, there's no movement, there's no motion. They stay where they're set, and then they just run upfield. And I know that's the best way to get to the pass rusher, I guess, but there's never any loops. They never throw any loops into it. 3rd and 7, that was the game, on that, I think it was on the third quarter. I could barely focus on that game at all at the end. I was just so mad, but in the third quarter, we had scored and it looked like we were going to be closing that gap. But then, we couldn't get any pass rush, and Brandon Ayuk got wide open, got separation from Darius Slay, and I just don't understand. It's we get excited and we talk all about this pass rush, and this defensive line is incredible every week. Oh, they're so good. But, they only had 1 sack against Kansas City. They couldn't contain Josh Allen last week. They couldn't contain Dak Prescott when we played him. We're not really getting the numbers that we got last year, and that's hard to expect. Getting 2 rookie guys, or not rookie and Davis, but kind of his rookie season because he was hurt, didn't play much last year, and getting Carter to replace Hargrave, who was a great pass rusher, but we just don't have that pressure that I expected. I think it's important that we need to kind of stop talking about the run defense being so great, because even though they have been good and they were, number 1 in the league at one point, that's because our offense was putting up points and the other team had to stop running the ball. But when it comes down to an important time, the Niners ran all over us. Last week, the Bills ran all over us. The Chiefs could run all over us. It's just, that run defense isn't as good as we really say. It's just not that great. And just the defense as a whole, that the defensive line doesn't get the pressure we're supposed to be getting. The linebacker core, we talked about oh man, these linebackers, we're getting great stuff out of them early in the season. First half of the season, Morrow, Cunningham, Ellis when he came in, we were getting good stuff out of them, especially after having such a major injury to Nakobe Dean. We talked about how we're getting great play out of them, but they're not really doing it. It's not happening now. It's kind of starting to come back to bite us. And then the back four, back five, however you want to talk about it. Bradley Roby seems kind of just not, his name's not being called. I don't even know how much he's out there. We don't have the snap counts, of course, for tonight. Eli Ricks gave up a huge touchdown at one point, gave up another huge catch. I think it was a 3rd down conversion. I know it's great for him because he's a rookie, so he's getting a lot of time, and that's only going to make him better, so that's good. But Darius Slay and Bradbury, I didn't really see Bradbury get cooked that much tonight. I didn't see many issues there, but Slay gave up a few key catches at bad times. But it's brutal. It's hard to lose like this and have anything to say about it, because there's so much to say, but there's really not much to say because it's just painful. It's just so bad. It's just embarrassing. 42-19 on a Sunday. It's just rough. Just rough. But defensively, this defense is really not that good, and it's going to be scary going down the line. We got 2 more huge games coming up against Dallas next week, Seattle the week after. After that, we can hopefully right the ship a little bit against the Giants, Cardinals, and Giants. But, we talked about it, and I guess it's hard to adjust your thinking, because right now we're 3-1 in that big stretch everyone talked about. And which is good, which is great. I mean, people wanted to go 3-3, and we started out 3-0 in it. But it's just a loss like this. It feels like it erases things. It feels like it erases the amazing comeback from last week, an amazing comeback from the Chiefs, and the good game in Dallas. It feels like it erases that sort of thing, because you're like, oh, we couldn't even put up a real fight against these guys. And I mean, it shows you the Niners are really good. I said it last week on the podcast, or not last week, but 3 days ago when I recorded 2 days ago. this is the best team in the league, and they proved it. They earned it, and we got a lot to work on. We got to figure out that play calling. Brian Johnson really needs to figure out the run-pass balance. That it's just not there. I just don't understand it. And the defense, man, they were shadowed for a while. Not shadowed, but they were kind of disguised for a while as a good defense because the offense was able to go up at times, and the defense does come up clutch in big moments. They do. They're there in big moments. They make that play. They can, but in a full game against a great team, it's not the defense you want to have. You're gonna have to figure out something there. I don't know if it's scheme. I don't know if it's moving around players or shifting things around, but whatever it is now, it's not working. And it's not going to work as we go deeper into the playoffs and as we face some of these teams again. I mean, as we go to the playoffs, if we get the number 1 seed, I'm not going to be the whole when person. A lot of people like to say when. I'm not going to do that. If we get the number 1 seed, we're probably going to be facing the Niners again. We're probably going to be facing Dallas again. Maybe, not both, but maybe one of them, maybe even both. This is not what you want to see. The game a few weeks ago against Dallas, that was, we got out of there. And the defense, as I talked about, they came up clutch in that moment. But we got to see something big next week, guys. We really have to see a big game. We need to see the offense clicking on all cylinders and scoring touchdowns, not kicking field goals early in the game. I mentioned it in the pod a few days ago. The only way we were going to beat these guys is if we went up and made them play from behind. And we didn't do it. We went up by 6 points. That's 1 score. They went down and scored a touchdown, and it felt, when it was 7-6, I felt like we were down 20-0. I was crushed. I was like, you can't do this, because now this is when they can run on you. And if you go up 17-0 or 14-0 against a team, they're not going to run as much. But McCaffrey, he's the best running back in the league, and our run defense is not. It's not really it. It's really not it. But I don't know. I don't think I have much else to say. Let's see. Sorry, I know I'm just out of my wares, but special teams wise, I mean, there's just nothing to say about it. There's not really anything good to say about any grouping of the team and any, what am I trying to say, faction of the team. So offense, defense, special teams. There's really nothing good to say. I will say that there's no quit in the team. They kept on playing. When we came out the second half, we were down 20. I'm sorry. I'm already messed up. We're down 14-6. They scored right away. It was 21-6, and then we went down and scored. And it was like, oh man, like there's a chance, but no, it was once they scored second time in the third quarter with Debo, it was it. Just brutal game. Hard to watch. I'm just saying things over and over again because I'm only at 13 minutes and I feel like my podcast is over, but I just don't have anything to say. There's nothing good to say right now. Defense, offense, just the play calling needs to be figured out. It's funny being a 10-2 team and feeling like this. This shouldn't be happening. 10-2, we should be, oh man, we're 10-2. But 10-2 teams, they don't lose like that. Not really, That was bad. And maybe that's just how good the Niners are. I don't think they are that good. They're definitely the best team in the league, but I mean, that was pretty extreme. But, we gave it to them, and they took it, and they played an incredible game. And, the first 2 drives, it felt different. We started off with the ball, we go down, and then we don't score a touchdown. It's like, you got to score a touchdown there, but okay, we'll take 3, that's okay. Then we stop them 3 and out. Oh my gosh, here we go. That's, oh man, and then we go down and kick a field goal, and it's like, oh no, that can't happen. You got to take 10 there. You got to go up 10. I don't care if you go for it. The unfortunate part was it was, second and 10 maybe, and then Hurts ran backwards 11 yards and fell down and took a sack, and it's like, dude, you got to figure out a time to throw the ball away because you can't take that sack. 3rd and 21 from the 25, it's just not possible. So just brutal on that end, and then they go down and score, and it's like, oh, there we go. That's the game shift. That's when it happens. That's where it happens. But good games from Brown and Smith. The problem is a lot of these stats, Brown 8 for 114, Smith for 9 for 96 and a touchdown. Problem is a lot of that's in garbage time, so it doesn't really feel as filling. Feels a little bit like empty stats there. I will say the punter, Braden Mann, MVP of the game, if there could be an MVP. I don't like to choose MVPs when we lose, but 3 punts for 152, that's a 50.7 average. Long of 52, like none of his punts were below 50 yards. That's pretty incredible. All 3 of them were inside the 20. Great job by him. Cox had a good sack. Reddick had a good sack, but, the one early on, it felt like we were going to be, we're going to be all over these guys. We're going to be in his face all day. Just couldn't do it. And that pass rush needs to change. There's so much that needs to be fixed. I can't even think of it. I made notes on my phone, and then I didn't even look at the notes. My phone's recording. Well, I'm not going to take any more time away from you guys. You're probably not even listening anymore at this point because this is just sad. But thanks for watching. If you enjoy us, please rate and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, please rate and subscribe, like and subscribe, comment below anything you want us to talk about. I have a feeling we're going to get some Niners comments this week. I think it's going to be fun. We always like getting comments from other teams and hearing them talk smack, So it's always fun because when they win, they probably go on YouTube and start looking up podcasts, or not even just that, but talk shows or podcast, all that sort of stuff, just so that they can go and talk smack in the comment section that they didn't talk smack before the game. I'm one of those people, so I understand it. I don't like to talk smack before the game because I'm always scared we're going to get beat. But that's probably what they'll do. So we'll probably get some Niners comments. Hopefully we do. It's always fun. But hats off to them. They're the best team in the league, man. And look forward to playing them again. Hopefully we get them in the NFC Championship game again. Hopefully on our turf. And hopefully we can have a different outcome for us next time and just play a little bit better. It doesn't make sense with the talent of this roster how low we play sometimes, especially for a 10-2 team. I know second half comebacks are cute and they're fun, but it ain't sustainable, and we saw that today. So, well, other than that, from all of us here at Our Eagles Therapy Podcast, my name is Basil. Go Birds, and fly, Eagles, fly.